Far off to the east, far across the mighty sea, there's a place few have seen, a land called Fujian. It's formed there all year around, beautiful green land, a place so distant even the flames of war can't reach it. In one of the poorer villages of this land, there lives an orphan boy called Yansho. He roams the village in pursuit of a purpose to keep on living. The boy is small in stature, his body frail and lean, with sharp features and long dark wavy hair. He had pale skin with a slight tan and worn baggy clothes that hung from his body. The village is located by the sea, where sunlight glistens off the rippling water into a golden ethereal yellow. There are 60 houses scattered around the village, made from bamboo and reed straw. Gust of wind and the hum of far-off birds, the smell of fish in the market, give the village an outlandish yet nostalgic feel. The village is isolated and makes its living solely from selling and trading fish, but in recent years the fish population in the area has continued to decrease. It's like the fish have evaporated, explained a merchant as he tracked empty boats ashore. The sudden economic downturn has made many people move out and leave the village in pursuit of a better life, while the people who remain are suffering from extreme poverty and famine. Yansho sat aimlessly at the shore, watching empty boats come and go. Good things don't last, he thought to himself, as a memory came flooding into Yansho's mind, a dinner with his family and Liu Men. Yansho was about 6 years old. The warmth of the house despite the snow outside, his mother's gentle laughter and the soft voice as she sang while cooking curry. This was before the epidemic took his parents from him. What do I have to live for now? He wiped his tears, only for more to come rolling down his hollow cheeks. It felt like every tear was a funeral he forced to attend. Liu Men was more than just a neighbor to him. She was the last piece of family he had left after the epidemic took his parents. She was the only one who took care of him after everyone moved on. Liu Men was poor too, making living selling fish soups in the village market, but she always fed Yansho more than she ate herself. A sudden scream erupted from the village as he saw people gathering near his house. Confused, Yansho made his way towards the village. Upon arrival, he saw the door to Liu Men's house opened as people gathered around it. He had a terrible feeling. As he moved in closer, he saw Liu Men's motionless body lying on the floor. She hadn't been seen for weeks and was unnoticed until the foul smell was too much to ignore. She had died of starvation, a villager said. Yansho's knees became heavy as if he were carrying the whole world upon his shoulders. His body fell to the ground before he understood what was happening, unable to express a single emotion as guilt and sorrow rushed in. He hadn't spoken to her in weeks. He had distanced himself from her, believing that he was just another burden she had to carry. He thought that staying away would make her life easier. He didn't realize that she never saw him as a burden. Yansho trembled and wept on the dirt pavement, blaming himself for this. Maybe if I had checked up on her, only if I had done something. How could I let this happen? It's all my fault. He let out a loud, primal scream, thinking it was his responsibility to protect and feed her. Where he wandered the village in pursuit of a purpose, he failed to see what was in front of him the entire time. It was Liu Men. Chapter 2, Purpose. A month had passed since Liu Men's death, along with many others who had died. Tears dropped in between Yansho's toes as he stood at the highest point of the village, staring at the sea below. One step and it will all be over, Yansho thought to himself. The winds were stronger where he stood, as the winds whipped his hair. This was the third time this month he had been up there, and something always stopped him from taking the final step. Yansho moved closer to the edge and closed his eyes as the once ethereal yellow sea looked cold and grey to him, and suddenly a memory came flooding back. Liu Men serving soup for Yansho as she told the weeping boy. Promise me, she said, don't ever do anything stupid, no matter how hard lives get. Promise, Yansho replied. His eyes flew open, and the tears were swept away by the wind. Hesitant, Yansho made his way back home. His house was near the once bustling village market, where now a handful of stalls stood where merchants waited in vain for their customers that will never come. Walking past the market, he heard a couple of merchants talking about a rumored fish, about the size of a horse with sharp teeth and a tail that looked like a crescent moon. Far away, far beyond the Xinghua Bay, a fish no one had seen. The merchant was named Ban Chao. He turned around and saw Yansho limping and struggling to walk, as if all life was drained out of him. Feeling concern from the young boy, he yelled out to get the boy's attention. Want some dry fish, boy? Ban Chao screamed. Yansho took the fish without hesitation. He hadn't eaten in days and devoured the fish in an instant. The kindness of the merchant brought him to tears. Yansho questioned the kindness. Why are they so nice to me? I don't deserve it, he thought. Hey boy, what's your name? Ban Chao demanded. Yansho, he replied. Grow some balls and stop weeping, Ban Chao demanded. Yansho started to share his grief with the merchant about how he is an orphan and had no one to live for. Sucks, boy. I also lost my wife a few years back. She died helping others. The pain doesn't really go away. You learn to carry it with you, Ban Chao said. The dried fish was salty and chewy and had a pungent fishy taste, but it was enough to keep Yansho alive for a few more days. Yansho thanked the merchant for the food and walked on home. Before leaving, he asked about the rumor. Fish, he said. Is it real? Asked Yansho. Interested are you now, boy? Said Ban Chao. Well, I can't say for certain, but people from other villages who went looking for that beast never came back. Thank you, old man, Yansho replied as he walked home in silence. That night, Yansho thought about all the small acts of kindness that people had shown to him over the years. For the first time that month, he felt something other than grief. It was anger. Yansho felt useless and a burden for not giving anything back to the people. Something changed in Yansho that night. It was a fire lit somewhere deep inside him. He had found a new purpose. He would find that fish. Chapter 3, Pursuit. Yansho had always been a gifted child, renowned for his intellect around the village. He had a deep love for Western textbooks and would do anything to get his hands on some. Living in a fishing village, where knowledge was passed down rather than anyone trying, Yansho's village had always been ahead of its neighbors in terms of fishing. Having found a new purpose, Yansho tore down his own house and used the pieces of bamboo to make a raft that would be able to support his weight. He crafted the fishing rod from bamboo and reinforced it with plant fiber thread so it could withstand the weight of that fish. He braided the silk into fishing line and had tools and materials lying around his house because his father was a renowned fisherman before he died. He gathered worms and insects from nearby forests to use as bait. By the time of sunrise, Yansho was ready to head out. Chapter 4. Patience. He could feel the raft being dragged by the strong current the second he pushed offshore. The weather was clear and made navigating easy for the young Yan Shou. He rowed until he reached the outskirts of Xinghua Bay, where the rumored fish resided. He looked around just to see water in every direction. When he looked back, the land had disappeared entirely. It was as if a grain of sand was floating in the vast blue sea. Day 1, nothing, not even a single bite. Yan Shou had started to get doubt, but he had no choice but to keep on moving. He remained patient. Day 2, nothing, still no bites and no fish. Years of exploitation had depleted the sea of fish. He still remained patient. Day 3, he remembered his father saying that the greatest skill a fisherman can have is patience, so he changed up his approach, chumming the water with worms and corn. Their scent was like a powerful dinner bell for fish. The approach worked and he caught a few minuscule fish, but nothing that he was looking for. He still remained patient. Day 4, nothing. Day 5, nothing. Yan Shou almost gave up. Day 6, nothing. Day 7. He had been out there for half a day now. The intense heat made him suffer from dehydration. His vision blurred at the edges, suffering from severe migraine. Then he saw it, a massive shadow circling the raft. At first, he thought it was hallucination, but that wasn't the case. He quickly realized this. It had to be, he thought, and casted out his bait, and in an instant, bam, the fish was on. The fish resisting, swam at such high speeds and force that Yan Shou was almost thrown overboard. The fish dragged both the boy and the raft in circles. Yan Shou held on by one hand and sheer will. The force was so intense the raft started breaking. It felt like a match of tug-of-war against a human and a tiger. The fish swam in circles for over 5 hours, but Yan Shou's grip never loosened, not even once. The tired fish surfaced above the water. The fish was massive, about 7 feet long, its body shaped like a torpedo and deep blue running along its back and fading into a pearl white around its belly. The fish had yellow spikes on top of it and around the fins, sharp teeth, everything the merchant had described. Rowing with shaking arms caused by both excitement and exhaustion, Yan Shou tied the fish to the side of his raft and made his way back to the village. Chapter 5. Kindness. The villagers noticed the boy coming in from a distance, with an enormous shadow cast beside his raft. Word spread fast, and people had gathered to see what the boy had caught. The legend! He caught the legendary fish! Pan Chao screamed. It took 5 people just to lift the fish on shore, as it left people in awe, as how a mere child, a frail one at that, was able to catch this beast. The catch caught the attention of nearby villagers that came to see the catch themselves later that night. Using the attention, Yan Shou used the opportunity to make trade deals with neighboring villages, shifting his village's reliance on fishing and taking on farming and livestock instead. Yan Shou, alongside the villagers, cut and portioned the fish to over 40 families around the village. The portions were big enough to last them over 2 weeks. He gave them without expecting anything in return, as he felt that he had to pay a long-forgotten debt to everyone in this village. Yan Shou stood by the shore, thinking about his family and Liu Min with the fleeting sunset. And suddenly, the ground started trembling, the waves moving rapidly as an enormous shadow cast upon the sea. 5 times the size of the fish he had just caught jumped out of the sea. Water seeped off its scales, and the same deep blue crescent-shaped creature erupted from the sea. The villagers fell to their knees. The fish towered over Yan Shou, towered over the entire village itself. The legendary creature was still out there.